Hey everyone, and welcome to the Scarred Thumb Podcast. Do new games really suck? Why aren't people as hyped as they used to be about video games? Has the nostalgia, are they blinded by nostalgia? Or do games really do suck now? That's what we're going to go over. Let's get right into it. So the gentleman on the screen is Nadeshot. He's a Modern Warfare, I think former Modern Warfare pro player. He's also the CEO of 100 Thieves, a popular esports organization. And here's him talking about video games, his observation. Let's listen to it.
There's something weird that has happened in the gaming community. I'm serious too when I say this. For some reason, everybody in the gaming community they want games to
Turn this up.
fail. It's very bizarre. Like the whole thing with X Defiant is still like stumps me to this day. People complain about not having enough games to play, but when new games come out, even before they have played it, they're like, that game sucks. I'm not going to play it. Listen, man, if we keep tearing down these studios trying to make good games, like, yeah, not every single one is going to be fun and not every single one is going to be a hit. But if we're sitting here like preying on its downfall before the game even comes out, what do you think's going to happen? Nobody's going to be investing in gaming and making new games. And you're not going to have shit to fucking play. You're going to be sitting here playing MW2 remastered edition. You're going to be sitting here trying to play fucking the same old games for the 1,000th time because these billionaires and fucking multi-million billion dollar publishers, they're not going to greenlight any new games, any new concepts, any new IP. I mean, I try to put myself in the shoes of myself when I was like 16 years old, but I can't. I was excited for new games when they came out. The problem is now we have too many options. We've seen too many different games. We've seen too many different ways to interact with games. Like back in the day, bro, in 2007, when Halo 3, Gears of War 1, and Call of Duty Modern Warfare dropped the same fucking year, bro, we were lined up outside of GameStops, whether it was in a mall or attached to a fucking Hollywood Video, sitting there waiting, camped out, drinking fucking Mountain Dew, waiting for these new games for the midnight release. Everybody was so excited about it. Now when new games come out, we're fucking sitting around a goddamn fire witch artifact, like doing a satanic ritual for the game to fail miserably. I don't really get it.
Doesn't get it. Why? Why are people so down on new games? Why can it be like 2007 when everyone was super hyped and they're outside of a GameStop waiting for that midnight release of Gears of War? Hey, good morning, Deborah. So we're going to go over a lot of it today. I think there is some reason actually to want games to fail now. Games have changed a lot, I think, since 2007. And it seems more and more because games are really dialing in. I'm going to talk about the business aspect a little later, but because that business thing, the sort of business, what's the word I want to use? This science, this retention stats that they're looking at more and more in these sort of ways to compete for your attention is becoming more and more refined. They're pouring more and more money into studying this. Games are almost becoming a second job in a way. And when you look at this stat, looking at the games ranking in the top 10 by average monthly average users that's what MAU stands for, I believe, are over 7 years old on average and generally fall into one of four categories. So this is an older thing. I've showed this before, but this kind of shows you what what the top games are being played, and it's stuff like Fortnite. Fortnite is the most played game in 2023 with the most, monthly average users. Fortnite across the board here. And it's weird because I don't even see Harry Potter, despite that being the best-selling game of 2023, except for Switch. But it's Fortnite, Roblox, Minecraft, Counter-Strike. And then, of course, you see Modern Warfare, Grand Theft Auto 5 showing up in basically all of these. Rocket League, so maybe some Fall Guys. We got FIFA, League of Legends on the PC side. You have, Valorant showing up on the PC side, Sims 4. I mean, you see these old games that just constantly, you have this sort of, the idea of the sort of Pareto principle applies here where a lot of these users are funneling into, especially on competitive multiplayer games, they all tend to congregate, vast majority tend to congregate on maybe one or two games, or, a small collection. Maybe one or two is too much, but again, they tend to filter into these bigger games because as the games get bigger, you have, more money offered through esports, like, the sort of 100 Thieves gentleman is a part of. You've got more content creation. Content creators want to go where the views are. So you got more people making more content. That probably ends up with better content because of that. Maybe, maybe not. You could argue, but just overall, just more excitement, more stuff happening in these communities. It's easier to meet other people that play the game, especially looking at the local level. You'd hear people talk about, if you wanted to play a fighting game, well, you go to your local like tournament meetup, and what are you going to play? It's very hard to sort of play some games that aren't as popular. Meanwhile, like if you wanted to play Smash, you could probably find a club that's playing Smash, or an event that's playing Smash in the local area. You could probably easily find some people playing locally. Any game on this list here, like Modern Warfare, or maybe not Mario Kart 8, but Fortnite. There's probably people playing Fortnite. You could find your local area. Smash Bros. Ultimate is on this top 10 list. So like if you wanted to play Splatoon in a local tournament, very hard. But if you wanted to play Smash Ultimate, you got guys in the local area that you could play with. So there is, I think, almost a competition and a anxiety that comes when a new game comes out. If you're not part of it, eventually, if it's not one of those top games, you kind of get left out in the cold. So unfortunately, there is a reason to sort of hope for the downfall of video games. It's sad to say. But the game he's specifically talking about that people are potentially wishing for the downfall here is X Defiant. This is by Ubisoft. I'm going to turn this down. Probably easier to just turn it down in the browser.
Activating sonar. Enemy spotted.
I like how someone commented they'll have Splinter Cell in any game but Splinter Cell. So already you have a woman show up. It's always great to see in my war games. Women front and center.
They'll never see us coming.
Got women of color. Front and center. Awesome. Thank you, Ubisoft. Shields. I don't get... I feel like such an old man looking at modern day first-person shooters where shields and fucking flamethrowing robots show up.
Target spot. Flashbang out. Look up. Here they come. Fire up high. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's it. So that's X Defiant. And watching this trailer, I just don't see, what their main selling point is. In fact, they don't even mention it. The idea, from what I gathered, the selling point of X Defiant is, one, it's free to play. Imagine like, hey, you want Modern Warfare, but you want a free to play Modern Warfare that doesn't have skill-based matchmaking. Well, X Defiant is your game. Ubisoft is putting it out, which is a decent enough reason not to like it to begin with. But this is, from what I've gathered and from the people that I've like watched a few reviews, they seem to enjoy the game. They don't seem to have any sort of problem with the game. In fact, some people, one of the guys that played it said, I like X-Defiant. I kind of wish I could play it more instead of Call of Duty, because it's more of like sort of a fresh take on it, as opposed to the fact that he plays Call of Duty so much. But he just straight up says, Call of Duty is where I make my money. That's where the players are. That's where the views are. And another review that I watched, the person complained he had to wait 15 minutes to get a match. So if you don't have a large player base, and a lot of these games where, it's queue times tend to get higher and higher, the less players there are to play in those queues. And not to mention, less players nearby you, so there's more potential for lag, and that a lot of problems. So the competitive multiplayer space is, ironically, or maybe not ironically, but it's very competitive. You have to compete against a lot of these different games that constantly want more and more of your time to play, and they've dial in those sort of dopamine rewards that you get by earning. You can earn different skins and achievements and get like cool little stuff for your gun. So they've definitely gotten better at retaining players. And in a way, like, you look at this again, and you can see at the bottom here of every column average years on the market. So PC, these games don't go away. They're available for basically forever, since PC doesn't change consoles. Average years on market, you've got 9.6 years. And then for PlayStation, Xbox, 7.4, 7.2. The one with the sort of healthiest average years on market, the youngest games is the Nintendo Switch. And if you look at it, a lot of the games on the list are their own first-party games that, rotate out. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, Pokemon, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet and Mario Kart 8 can be played multiplayer. Animal Crossing New Horizons doesn't really have a lot of that. Hogwarts Legacy, Special Ultimate definitely does. But so a lot of these games aren't, multiplayer. They're not meant to be played for, thousands upon thousands of hours. And even then, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate had, some DLC, but it doesn't, have like season passes. It doesn't have constant updates. It's done with its DLC. I think Mario Kart 8 may still have a little bit, or not necessarily doesn't. Super Mario Bros. Wonder, Tears of the Kingdom, none of this stuff is meant to be played every single day. It doesn't reward you for logging in. So, there's a lot, of new games that sort of rotate into this, top 10 as the years go on. It's not, Fortnite, which is still number one there, but it kind of shows you the power of this, of these systems, and how good some of these companies are at retaining players. It's amazing that Fortnite is still number one in all of these categories. Because honestly, that game does not look that good to me, but that it is what it is. You have stuff like battle passes. I already talked about the Pareto principle, but it is important. A lot of these games are very social now, especially the online multiplayer games, and you gotta go where the people gather. That's where the large masses tend to congregate together. But there is other reasons why video games aren't quite as good as they used to be, and this is unfortunate. It's unfortunate become the industry has begun to sort of hate its audience. Its main demographic is men, young men, and back in, I believe it was 2014, we have Gamergate, and the industry sort of turned against, or it kind of already was, but just openly turned against its main audience. And we have, this is an archive. This is from August 29th, 2014, from Ars Technica. The death of the gamers and the women who killed them. Zoe Quinn, Anita Sarkeesian, prove points a certain type of gamer refused to hear. A screenshot of a domestic abuse scene from Watch Dogs used an example in Anita Sarkeesian's Women versus Tropes in Video Games. Oh no. How dare you have any sort of depiction of women being hurt? So you have, beforehand, you had guys like Jack Thompson, which was sort of like a sleazy lawyer. He kept trying to make the case that he tried to make the case that no, sorry, totally got distracted. He tried to make the case that video games were responsible for shootings. And this basically collectively the video game space decided this guy was an idiot. Like, what are you talking about? Video games aren't causing school shootings. And then all the sort of studies showed that, well, video games don't cause violence. They, like a lot of like movies and cartoons and that kind of stuff, you get this sort of emotional high after watching them, like, whoa, this is really cool, this is awesome. And you can get frustrated while playing a video game, but basically it doesn't actually cause these sort of incidents. But you had Anita Sarkeesian show up and start saying that video games make men sexist, and then collectively, like, the journalists and video game makers all of a sudden like, whoa, oh my gosh, you're right, we need to take this seriously. Video games must be making you sexist. If you show women as weak in video games, well, then you're perpetuating harmful stereotypes. Let's just read this. Oh, Anita, you're so all right, I'm not going to talk about grape threats, and then tides of abuse, attacks on Anita Sarkeesian. It's just basically defending these people that are trying to make the industry worse for, let's be honest, men. And it worked. They succeeded in a lot of ways of making games less attractive to men, making characters in games less attractive to men. And you can see it now. We'll go over examples of it a little later on. And of course, you have Game Sutra here. Hey, what's up? Good to see you. Gamers don't have to be your audience. Gamers are over. And then, it's the man-child baby raging at, this games that I liked, and this industry I helped build with my hard-earned money now thinks I'm a sexist loser, and I'm a little bit upset about it. Wow, what a child. Why aren't you stepping aside and letting women take over? Why are you upset that we've made all of your female characters have a giant jaw? Huh? Well, why not? So let's get into it right now. Why is it? So this is Mortal Kombat, and this was before Gamergate. We have Mortal Kombat girls, Melina and Katana, showing off a lot of skin. These are designs that are clearly made to appeal to men. There's no doubt about it. And, they're looking at you in sensual ways. And now we have, this was a kind of a funny aside here. It's very weird that the series of games, very literally built on cleavage and gore, decided one day, actually, that's too much skin to show there. That's not appropriate anymore. Now back to the animation where somebody's spleen is ripped out and shoved into their mouth. And this kind of, pointing out the obvious, I don't know if it's hypocrisy is the right word, but this sort of double standard between sex and violence, where violence is totally cool, awesome. Let's, rip a guy's head off. That's fine. What's wrong with that? Oh, whoa. Hey, this cleavage. Ooh, that ain't cool, buddy. Yikes. That's a big no. That's a little weird, don't you think? Ooh, what's wrong with you? And then we got, guys like this. It's not about showing too much skin. It's about the design sucking balls. LMAO. Also, this is fan art. MK9 is some of the weakest female designs of the franchise. In fact, I would argue MK11 does way better job with sex appeal and the femme fatale thing than MK9 by a lot. So this is, MK9 design. And this is, 11. Whoa. Yeah, Melina definitely looks better here. Totally. I mean, what's with that haircut in the third? The third from the left here. I got the cut off haircut. Yeah, totally, man. Really. Oh, let's get Katana. That looks pretty good. Yeah. Oh. And then, look, she's still all right in this. A little bit of cleavage shown off there, but definitely a lot, toned it down by a lot. And like, this is like, all right, this is just, a doll made for men. And then, you can tell this is a serious woman, a real woman with, practical clothing. Because that's exactly what I want in my video games about killing people in combat. Turning into animals and murdering other people. That's what I want. I want this level of realism, real women, serious women, none of this child stuff. This is for young boys, which, I guess are not your target audience. But this is what happened. And of course, we've got a new trailer came out. We got a new Mortal Kombat 1. This came out not that long ago, August 15th, 3 days ago. Let's take a look at Cyrax, which was a robot at one point. But they've made some changes, some improvements.
Where are you? Over here. Fighting your foe unseen, attacking from a distance. There are rules.
There are rules.
We have found Kuai Liang and his Shirai Ryu. They gather at the Wuxi for his wedding.
Attack his wedding. We may win the battle, but find we lose the war. No one will respect us.
Better to be feared than respected.
Oh, hell no. We are not doing the Red Wedding. What? Season 3, Episode 9. How long have we known each other?
Her face, by the way, her face is just so, it looks so dopey. They keep using real people's faces. I mean, this is like, it's based off, this is the actress for Cyrax. And I mean, it just doesn't work. It doesn't look like somebody that would actually be fighting people to the death. Like, I mean, besides, you could say what you want about it being replaced by a black woman, obviously, DEI, all that stuff. It just doesn't look like someone that would actually be a warrior. Not to mention this ridiculous act.
You vanished without explanation. The hand my Grand Master gave me one.
You blame me for your actions?
I just want to get to the
I was
talking parts
wrong
because they're
thinking you
hilarious.
worthy of that armor.
Oh no.
You are my instructor and my commander. Don't confuse that with being my superior.
Oh, don't confuse it, baby. Deliver that like a real pro.
My speed and skill are beyond you.
My shit. You need to finish him. Oh no, don't. We can't show the score. It's too gory. We have to have, of course, we have to have the white guy get killed. But by the way, this is how she normally sounds. I was wondering, like, does she normally sound like that in real life as a voice actor?
All right, and we are joined today by none other than Anuka Okuma, voice actress for Tao Adair. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't sound like she does in the trailer. Why not? So this was totally conscious choice to make her sound like this.
Shirai Ryu. They gather at the Wuxi for his wedding.
Attack his wedding. We may win the battle, but find we lose the war.
So I guess they like, hey, you need to really go hard on the accent. We gotta have that. I apparently maybe there's a reason she's like from a certain place, but still, like, why? You could still, be from an exotic land and have an accent, not have an accent. Of course, this person was grew up in I think Canada or something. So it's not like she natively speaks with that accent. But hey, you gotta have it. This is video games today. This is very important. This is what's important from a video game perspective, is to have a lot of nice representation, a lot of diversity. Have her give the lines like, "You may be my commander."
Don't confuse that with being
my officer, but you are not my superior. What a badass. We gotta have some badass, serious women. It's not about making like this fun, game about violence and killing people, which it was back in the day, or just goofy. And the moms hated this game. Oh, it's so violent. It's gonna make people violent and kill people. We've gone a long way from that. Now it's like, all right, this is a serious franchise, serious game, serious women. All that's very serious. But we also have, you turning into an animal and killing people. Getting stabbed here. I turn into a bee and I stab you. These game, and then of course, you gotta have Chaos Reigns expansion, combat pack, available on release, and then you've got the Terminator. You got Arnold Schwarzenegger as Conan, the Scream guy, and you got Homelander, Omni-Man, Peacemaker. I don't recognize half these guys. You just have just random guys in it. It's definitely, so this is kind of goofy, but it just doesn't seem to hold on to it through the entire presentation. Let's move on. So again, another example of how Mortal Kombat is like shifted away from just hey, here's a fun game for you guys, into like, we're very serious. But that's not all that happened this week, and more the industry. Because one of the people that have really been pushing the industry is, you've got Black Myth Wukong, one of the reviewers, the journalists. People are a little bit upset about this. This is from Screen Rant. Pros, combat is fluid and fun. Cinematography can be breathtaking at times. Great diversity in items and mechanics. Cons, game performance is unpolished. Lacking in inclusivity and diversity. Uh-oh. This is where people kind of freaked out. This is a con, apparently. Inclusivity and diversity. Uh-oh. And, this wasn't good. While my analysis and review of Wukong remained focused on gameplay, it's important to mention the controversy surrounding the game studio and reports on misogyny and sexism from developers. As a female gamer, allowed me to notice issues surrounding the inclusion and representation. So the fact that she's a female gamer allowed her to notice these issues that normally other people wouldn't. As far as chapters 1 and 2, while characters are clearly fictitious and fantastical creatures, there were no female or feminine NPCs, enemies, or bosses present. The only exception is that, if you could call it female, is a boss named, whoa, isn't this a little transphobic? Is a boss named Mother of Stones in Chapter 2, which is nothing more than a still glowing rocks with no abilities, being guarded by other enemies. Whoa. There's not enough women in Chapters 1 and 2. Although Black Myth Wukong does have a truly enjoyable moment, it's the underlying feeling that women aren't welcome in this world. Felt present throughout my gameplay experience. People are obviously a little annoyed at this and upset at this review as it's dumb as hell. Oh no, this mythical mythical Chinese myth or whatever you want to call it, story. Yeah, it just doesn't have enough. Why aren't there enough women in it? Darn it! I didn't feel welcome playing it because of it. And then they removed the author's name. So there's these tough journalists, serious female journalists that are tough, they're independent, they're great. Oh shoot, people are getting mad at this. We got to remove the author's name because safety. You never know how crazy. You know how crazy these male gamers are. They're ready to kill women at the drop of a hat. We got to remove name for the second. The second I saw this, I knew a woman wrote it because I just can't imagine a male journalist. Maybe they would. Maybe they're enough of a sissy to actually do this, but this is 100% a female tactic right here. Oh shoot, people are mad at me. I gotta my safety's being threatened. Criticism, I'm unsafe. And then of course I was 100% right. The author was a woman. Samar Abedine or whatever her name is. Yep, that's the author. Senior staff writer, who wrote this terrible review. But we had to have it removed, and it's amazing to see this stuff. Attacking people is not okay, and then you just have people constantly simping for these women. Got to protect them, even though you write complete garbage like this. Apparently, no, we can't attack you for this, and if you do, you're making people feel unsafe, and it's wrong. It's wrong. That's not it. That's not it. So journalists have constantly kind of pushed crap in video games. They're part of like the other column, kind of pushing video games to be more and more anti-male. Because God forbid you have a game that doesn't have women in it for a certain amount of time. And of course, it's important to note that they were already criticized for the Chinese, the sort of employees of the game, the makers of Wukong, were criticized for some comments, and they said they refused to hire any sort of consultancy company. And they were contending that that's the reason why journalists are attacking them for those comments. Maybe that's true, maybe not. I'll let you guys decide. But there's also even the employees of the companies are trying to push more and more of these agendas that don't really make video games better. So this is a Zenless from The Park Place by John Trent. Zenless Zone Zero and Hawkeye Star Rail voice actress gets replaced after appearing to Single Boost, Genshin Impact, and Hoyoverse Boycott. I covered this a few weeks ago, where they were mad that the fictional African-inspired country didn't have enough brown people or brown skin colors in it, and they wanted to try and boycott Hoyoverse until then, where you should do like Honkai Star Rail, Genshin Impact, Zenless Zone Zero. Zenless Zone Zero did, almost, some people are contending over 100 million. That the sort of 95 or 96 million that it made its first month was actually incorrect, or didn't include everything in it. So the boycott has failed dramatically. It made no impact, which boycotts usually have zero impact anyway. So some people are contending that she was replaced. She plays, I guess this Lin has been replaced as Ho. I have no idea how to pronounce this Chinese name. Honkai Star Rail, and is replaced as Lucy in Zenless Zone Zero in a new patch. And Sokaku, I believe she also plays Sukaku in Zenless Zone Zero 2. So the patch notes adjusted the English voice actors and voiceovers for characters in these games, and similar notes in Zenless Zone Zero that changed the English voice actors for Agents Lucy and Sokaku. So she basically got on here. This is Courtney Lynn. So some people, they don't specifically say she was replaced for this reason, but it's as a new game. Zenless Zone Zero is a new game, and of course, if you're going to signal boost, you're hired by a company, and you signal boost a boycott for that company. Is this really a smart idea? And that I don't get it. Why you would do that, especially since Zenless Zone Zero just came out. I know Lucy at least, and probably Sokaku haven't really had their agent stories yet. So there is a lot of new content that could include voice lines for this actor. So I think that's why they chose to replace her right now, because there's some other people that have like speaking roles that, as far as I know, haven't been fired, probably because they have a lot of lines. They've been there for a while. They're probably not getting new lines. So she got replaced. Oof, jumping back on Twitter to say, "Your voice matters. I'm so proud of our community for using theirs." Retweet, email, speak up. Our community is strong. It's always our community. It's like, God, we're together. It's supposed to be 2 days after the account was created. And I think it's safe to say we have all had enough of the racial cultural identities. I introduced you all to the Boycott Hoyoverse, and then this was shortly after that. Furthermore, it was made 6 days after SAG AF2. I don't know what the acronym is for SAG, but anyway, it's for the voice act. It's their union. Announced that the national board has given powers of its chief negotiator to declare a strike. So it's unlike the community she was referring to was striking voice actors. So she didn't actually even mention the boycott specifically, but she kind of indicated it. Interesting. Individuals whose name you use the name Valerie Rodriguez, Screen Actors Guild. Thank you. Is the voice actor of Genshin Impact Sucro Superior conferred that Lim was indeed supporting Genshin Impact Hoyoverse boycott. I wrote, "I'm in the comments verbally beating haters. V Nation, join me in my crusade. Courtney is incredibly kind character. She does not deserve this. 2 arms. I can't post about video game stuff. Let's bond over this." When asked for contact, Rhea said it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Very few people deserve the shit some of these losers are saying. She's part of the folks saying they wish there was better rep in Genshin, and then left Twitter for a bit, then came back, and all the haters came to shit on her. So this is Valerie Rodriguez, a very nice person here, but very upset. So, you have voice actresses, especially English voice actors, that constantly push a lot of this, social justice crap onto players. The Chinese community doesn't really want darker skinned people. They're not super accepting of that. And not to mention, it doesn't really matter. It's not a big deal. But constantly unhappy people want to keep pushing this. And unfortunately, a lot of these English voice actors that take part in these games that are made by Eastern game developers, which is one of the sort of highlights of video games right now, are these producers that are in the East. They're not infected by a lot of the social justice, woke feminism that keeps coming from these English or Western video game companies, and people are enjoying it. They're giving them their money, but these English VAs tend to be sort of a way to sort of get in that this stuff sort of creeps in, and they make changes or try to make changes, try to pressure companies to change. And unfortunately, this woman got fired for it. And this is also Valerie Rodriguez. Courtney Lynn responding here. Oof, jumping out to say your voice matters. So proud of my community. And then, this guy's kind of dunking on her about getting fired from the Zenless Zone Zero. It's wonderful to let all voices be heard, but not yours. What a wonderful community. My community loves my community, and love is love, community is community. And then, kind of mocking the sort of normal way they speak. And Valerie Rodriguez, you're a fucking loser who's going to die alone. I bet $1,000 that you are incredibly depressed and hate yourself. This is definitely projection right here. Get therapy and rot alone in your bedroom, but leave nice people out of it. Nice people. that or have the balls to say this shit in person, not behind a PFP. Sure, Valerie, sure. Just fight me, bro. Fight me in real life. Valerie, definitely a very well-adjusted person. It's totally not projecting about being an unhappy person that will die alone. This is your English voice actors right here, showing who they are. So, and this is another example. This is from a while back. If you remember, Taylor Morgan started crying after someone said, mean things to her. Like, do you know what grape feels like? And then she did this, like, performative crying act. Like, oh my God, how could someone say mean things online? How come I'm treated like a man online instead of a woman? And then here's Jamie Gremser, which used to work for Halo. True story. I had a group of women show me what happened to them in Halo 2 because of proximity chat. We cut it from Halo 3 the next day. So here are the simp developers protecting women, removing fun features from your game because women were crying about it. So this is an actual example of a fun feature, a game made worse because they wanted to protect women from potential harassment. And this is just another example of how video games, again, are becoming worse. They're worse than they were before because we got to protect women. We got to make ourselves look good. We got to protect children from these games, from, people saying mean stuff on voice chat. So rather than it being a place where, young men come to have fun, more and more young men are feeling like they're being pushed out of these spaces, or the fun that they could have had, just coming back from a hard day at work. They want to, vent, have some fun, talk some shit. You can't do that anymore. You're going to get reported. You're going to get banned. You're going to have AI programs that, will detect mean words that you say, and then you get banned for it. It's just become more and more prevalent. These are real life examples of how games have become worse because we have to protect the women that want to get in and do, performative outrage. And then there's another aspect of this, the reasons why video games are getting worse. And this is because, but first, let me take a drink. Let me wet my whistle here. Been talking for a while. So the other aspect of it is business. Now, video game industry has gotten very, very big. It makes hundreds of billions of dollars a year. And as things have gotten older, as I mentioned before, as the industry is getting older, it's becoming better and better at squeezing every cent from gamers. It's no longer, here's this cool game, enjoy it. Here's the art. More and more, the heads of studios that were video game programmers, designers, artists, they're being removed or kind of put in the background, and these projects and these companies are being taken over by CEOs, business people. That, in a way, artists aren't always the best at managing certain tasks. Project management isn't always their best thing, but it feels like more and more video games have become a way to make money, extract money. A lot of the design decisions are being changed in order to extract more cash from you, get more retention in your game. And this is, I don't even know if this is actually an actual article made by a human being, but when I looked this up, there was like several of these articles that look the exact same. So I don't know if an AI wrote it, but this is, I think these are real products. And this is, sort of the from pixels to profits, harnessing data for effective video game marketing. So more and more, these games are becoming a way to extract data and give you advertisements, essentially. building your target audience, laser focused marketing. Let me see if I go data-driven content creation, speak their language, optimizing campaigns for maximum impact, data-driven decisions. So a lot of stuff is a way to extract data and then change your game to optimize stuff. Like, I mean, just look at this player engagement, keeping them hooked. Player engagement is crucial for long-term success. Here's how data can keep players hooked on your game. Retention analysis. Analyze players' retention rates to identify drop-off points within the game. And you think like, oh, well, this is a way to make the game fun. But then you have stuff like Diablo 4 where they like specifically making the time to leave like 3 seconds longer. And you have to wonder like, why are they making changes like that? This allows you to pinpoint areas where players are losing interest and implement improvements or additional content to keep them engaged. In-game analytics. Utilize in-game analytics to track player behavior and preferences within the game. Analyze which features are most popular, which ones are underutilized, and how player progress through the game. This data can inform game updates, balance changes, and introductions of new content that caters to player preferences. So it's really about like analyzing this data, using this data to make changes. In a lot of ways, you lose a sort of artistic intent of game design. And you just totally like kind of offshoot it to like, all right, we got to analyze these numbers. We got to get these numbers up, this number up. We got to get this retention up. So let's, make this part a little bit longer. Like maybe walk, a few seconds longer down this hallway. Because we want this section of the game to take like 10 minutes. Because this table shows that if we keep them in the game long enough, they're more likely to spend, 10% more on our battle passes or whatever DLC microtransaction we have. So it has really become a business first and an art second, and it just feels that way. And let's look at some examples here. Ubisoft, who made X Defiant, the game that Nadeshot was defending, like, why are people so down on these games? Ubisoft blames technical error. I like the fact that it's in quote. For showing pop-up ads in Assassin's Creed. A full-screen pop-up ad appeared in Assassin's Creed for some players this week. So this is a case where a pop-up ad appeared as the guy went to look at his map. Like, oh, where am I? I lost. Let me look at my map. Hey, guy, by the way, have you heard that Assassin's Creed Mirage is 20% off for Black Friday? Literally in the middle of him playing. Like, usually they'll, like, wait till the loading screens to do this. But this obviously was reversed very quickly because people flipped out. Like, really flipped out. But you honestly have to wonder, was this a technical error? Or was this something that they were honestly considering doing? Just throwing up a pop-out ad, because this is 100% something Ubisoft would do. Unfortunately, a lot of companies just seem to going out of their way to find ways to extract another $10 from you, another $5, another $2 to increase their profits. You got to have got to make those quarterly earnings reports look good. So why are more and more gamers down on games? Well, they're being treated like a product, essentially. And this, of course, this is from 2012, old-time Cineblend, old article from Will Usher. Why on-game disc DLC is as bad a crime as gamers make it out to be. And this is sort of the start. He was talking about 2007. Everyone was hyped. Everyone was cool. Well, what's kind of happened? So 2014, we had Gamergate. 2012, we're talking about on-disc DLC. And this was the sort of phenomenon that you could look on the disc in places like wrote a somewhat middle-of-the-road piece about on-disc DLC not being as bad as people are making it out to be. On the recent fallout over Resident Evil 6 on-disc DLC discovery. It's unfortunate. I like Capcom, but they were one of the first people doing it, where people could like look on the disc, see DLCs there, but it's locked out because you have to pay some money. So like it was this idea they had the game already done, this content was already done, but even then you had to pay full price for the game. And they already had content that was ready to go for you to pay even more in order to unlock this DLC. And, back in the day, that was unacceptable, or people were upset about that. And you look at it now, it's almost become like just understandable that they'll already have a roadmap ready for DLC. And, it's not necessarily on disc anymore, since almost every console has like hard drives attached to it and, memory space. But this was one of the turning points where you had this sort of DLC roadmaps, battle passes, ready to go as part of the game development. $60, $70 wasn't enough. Wasn't enough for these games. We had to extract even more. So the sort of DLC phenomenon happens more and more. This is from 2003. This is also Capcom. You come out. It's just understood today where a new game comes out and there's going to be a roadmap, especially like on a lot of Japanese games like Capcom, Konami, Nintendo. A lot of these games will have a sort of like DLC roadmap for 2 years where you have to pay a full price for the game. And then, if you get the deluxe or ultimate edition, so you pay a little more money than $70, $60, well, here you go. You get these characters that are like that are specifically, and this is the funny thing, they're specifically sort of trickled out. It's not just all at once where you just enjoy these characters. They know that if they like put this guy Rashid out in summer, you'll come back and start playing it if you dropped off. You put Aki or AKI, and not make it an autumn. All right, hey, maybe you'll come back and start playing the game more, buy even more, costumes. So they specifically have these spaced out because they know they can get a spike in the player base, a spike in retention if they do it this way, rather than just, hey, all this is ready, we're going to give it to you all at once. Yep, Apex Legends, of course, another game as service. You have this sort of games as service phenomenon where they just need to get more and more retention out of you, keep you playing the game because they know this is going to give them a lot of money. While they're not necessarily having to make out a new game, or they can just sort of like drip feed content and keep you involved. Which, hey, in some ways, you buy a game for $60, you get 1,000 hours out of it. You can make an argument that, hey, that's a pretty good return on your money. Or maybe you spend an extra like $40, $60. You're still playing pennies for hours of enjoyment, per hour of enjoyment. So you can make that argument, maybe that's a good deal. But at the same time, you also like kind of strangle out a lot of new games or potential new IP. So the gaming space has become extremely competitive for your attention, and more of these games are feeling like second jobs. I see Nuclearius, when they do this and the update is terrible and they have to walk it back. Yep, exactly. Not all the changes are good. Definitely not. And then, of course, we have Capcom again. I like Capcom, but dog on them because they have definitely do this a lot. And, of course, another example is the microtransaction. I don't know when the microtransaction exactly started. When was the sort of $5 horse armor? $5 horse armor. Because that was the start of it. 2006. So it was starting in 2006. This is when I first like really let's see, in 2006, 11 years ago. This was 7 years ago. Bethesda was roundly mocked for selling $2.50 horse armor. Presently, cosmetic DLC is widely accepted and only tolerable form of microtransaction. What changed? What happened? This is in 2006. It was sort of the start, the rumblings of the microtransaction, and now today, well, they won. They won out on it, and now you have an absolute mess of what the games should be. $5. I thought it was $5. Maybe it was $2.50. But now today, let's look at Dragon Dogma 2. This came out earlier, 2024. And this was the list of microtransaction content Or you can buy a camping kit. You can buy smoke beacons. These are just items you can get in game. You can just get them in game, or you can just spend a bunch of money and get get some items to help you out. If you want to play the game on easier mode, you can get these rift crystals. Save yourself some time from farming this pesky stuff, and enjoy. 36 £36.60. I don't know what this translates to in American money. Maybe it's like $40 or something. I guess it depends on the current transaction rate. But this is the kind of stuff you can see now in a lot of Capcom games and a lot of other games. These small little microtransactions. Again, just to get a little bit more out of you. That $60, $70, that wasn't enough. We got to try and eke a little bit. Apparently, Dragon's Dogma sold a lot, too. So, as dumb as these are, there's probably a few guys out there that buy a lot of this stuff. You just need a few whales to give you an extra, $30, $40, and it makes it worth it. If 10% of your audience wants to buy the stuff, why not throw it in? They know it works, so they continue to do it. But again, the attitude, when people see stuff like this, they're not happy to see it. They know that that the company is kind of taking, I don't want to say like an adversarial view to it, because they want them to spend money, but you just constantly you're bombarded with stuff like this. How can we get a little extra money out of you? Again, you feel like a product, like a pay pig here for these games. You don't have to buy it, but you're just constantly being there's no generosity with these games anymore. Like, whoa, I can't believe they gave me. Or it's extremely rare in video games. And this is the number of games. So this is the sort of end of my talk on the sort of business side of it, where microtransactions. So he's making the argument that if you don't support games, that these companies aren't going to put out, new IP, new deal, new franchises. If we're all so down on these new stuff that they're not going to do it. Well, this is the number of game releases worldwide. Steam. Let me see if I can bring that up. Like, where do you say that?
2007, when Halo 3, Gears of War 1, I was excited for new games when they came. Same fucking year. Bro, we were lined up outside of GameStops, whether dollar publishers, these billionaires in time, because these billionaires and fucking multi-million-billion-dollar publishers, they're not gonna greenlight any new games, any new concepts, any new.
They're not. I think he's trying to refer to new IP. Well, Steam. This is the number of Steam games released worldwide. 2003, they're saying it had this is like AA, AAA. So it had 181. Indie, 13,000, almost 14,000 games of these indie games being released. So they're not, AAA studios may not necessarily be putting out a lot because they cost, multi-millions worth of dollars. But there's tons of new stuff coming out. And they'll continue to make new stuff because this is a multi-billion-dollar industry. And of course, China. This is video game market recovers. Domestic sales surpassed $4.6 billion. So 3.303 billion won, which is like $42 billion. China is a huge market. I think that's also why you're seeing a lot more prudish character designs from Western companies, is because they also want to release this stuff in China. And China doesn't like these communist countries, along with communist game designers. They don't really like a lot of skin being shown for some reason. So that is another reason I think that you're seeing more and more conservative designs. But when he talks about stuff like,
the problem is now we have too many options. We've seen too many different interact with games.
Too many options. There is a lot. The problem is like one, I think, FPS is what he. First-person shooters, what he plays a lot. it's such an oversaturated genre right now, and there's not a lot of like new stuff being done in the competitive multiplayer shooter genre at the moment.
Today, bro, when in 2007, when Halo 3, Gears of War 1, and Call of Duty Modern Warfare dropped the same fucking
2007, by the way. This was before a lot of this Gamergate deals on this DLC, microtransactions, all this stuff was super heavy.
We were lined up outside of GameStops, whether it was in a mall or attached to a fucking Hollywood Video, sitting there waiting, camped out, drinking fucking Mountain Dew, waiting for these new games.
And this was nostalgia. In a way, it's nostalgia, but as I've tried to make a point through this stuff, it's not just nostalgia. Games were better back then, and at least the industry was a lot nicer to the white, well, just the young male demographic, especially the white male demographic, which bought was the majority buyer of their games, but. I didn't want to end this with a hopeful note because there's still a lot of new games that are doing well. Like, you had AA games here, Pal World and Helldivers at the start of the year. Dragon's Dogma did extremely well, which I mentioned, despite having a gazillion microtransactions. They basically $40, $30 game sold extremely well. They did have some issues handling all the their biggest problem was handling all the popularity that they got on their servers as they started shutting down over the just massive waves of new people coming in. They didn't expect it. Power World was a completely new IP that did extremely well. Helldivers wasn't exactly a new IP, but they completely changed it. It used to be top down, and it was I think it did decent. When it was the first game did decent, was like a top down, more of a game, like isometric. Completely changed like that third person shooter aspect. So in a way, almost a completely new IP. They kind of remade from the ground up and did extremely well. So 2 brand new things that did extremely well this year. So there's still a lot of hype for new IPs, as long as you make them good. We had this was the best selling game of 2003, which is there still is a lot of kind of depressing stuff to look at when you see new IP. Hogwarts Legacy was new, but obviously based off a really popular IP. And then of course you see Call of Duty, Madden, Spider-Man 2, which was new at one point, Spider-Man, but they've been around for a while. Tears of the Kingdom was a sequel. So with Spider-Man 2, Diablo 4, the 4th, you even have Call of Duty again, Mortal Kombat, another franchise. Star Wars Jedi Survivor was a newer game, but again, based off an incredibly popular IP. So you got EA Sports, Starfield, brand new. Bethesda, of course, well known. That was not sold well, I guess, but received a lot of hate. Didn't seem to quite live up to its hype. You have a remake of Resident Evil 4, another Super Mario Brothers game. So look, the best-selling stuff is really hard for brand new games to do as well as these established franchises or based off established IPs. There is a lot of, like I said, competition in the video community, so it is hard for a brand new game to sort of become a standout hit in this industry. But here's a brand new game. This like boomer shooter. This looks really cool, kind of a cool concept. Boomer shooter with sort of rubber hose animation. Mouse PI for hire. The old-timey graphics, kind of similar to Cuphead. Turn this down a little bit. Kind of like, I like this sort of, you have this juxtaposition of the kind of like old-time Steamboat Willie cartoon style with, people's head exploding, which is kind of fun. Bit of violence in these old style cartoons. It seems like classic, you know, boomer shooter gameplay. The way you like move and jump. With like hook onto a hook. Similar to like your Doom or Quake. It's like a really cool game. Really cool concept of the game. It's a very unique look. And unlike stuff like, you know, that X Defiant, which looks like every other third-person shooter or first-person shooter coming out, they've actually, you know, gone in a direction that kind of looks cool. And of course, I wanted to talk about this. Echoes of Wisdom. You're talking about new games people are excited for. I'm excited for this. And this is because Nintendo makes good games consistently. So people are excited for that. Meanwhile, X Defiant is made by Ubisoft, which consistently makes mediocre games, mediocre to bad games. You can almost kind of tell that they're with Ubisoft that you are definitely a product to be milked for all you can get.
Welcome to Hyrule, a vast land where Princess Zelda will journey through her grand adventure.
I love the way
Hyrule is a land
the graphics
of
look so
plentiful
good on this. I love this stuff.
abundance. From the central plateau, where Hyrule Castle stands enfolded by its castle town, to the outermost reaches, you'll encounter new and interesting people in each of its
I mentioned this before, but this kind of looks like, you know, this sort of 16 era graphics. Like if you made that into like an updated high fidelity
diverse regions
version, this would be a
The
great way to do
Gerudo
it.
Desert consists of scorching dunes as far as the eye can see and is prone to frequent sandstorms.
I like the animation.
That's no problem for the women of the Gerudo tribe, though.
We got the Gerudos here, so they're kind of bringing in. This isn't, you know, like Link to the Past. They're trying to bring in the normal kind of tropes you see from the 3D Zeldas here.
There are many ruins full of mysteries here. And an oasis, a great place to relax. Jabul Waters is home to some of Hyrule's most scenic waterways. It's also where you can
So you have these sort of here's the Kingdom Zora,
find the Sea Zora and the River Zora.
And now this is the kind of Link to the Past Zora. So the 2D and the 3D Zoras are kind of being combined here. They really are trying to link up the two together. It's a pretty cool idea.
Who each reside in their respective
And not
villages.
just in like the Zoras, but in the gameplay mechanics too. You'll see.
Though they don't always get along.
Oh, there's racial tensions between the two.
What could they be fighting about? Daunting cliffs and lava flows dominate the Eldin volcano region.
Very cool.
Kakariko Village is nestled at the mountain's base.
Got Kakariko Village.
But you'll have to brave treacherous trails to reach the home of the Gorons.
Which I don't think have shown up in a 2D.
Those rocks may look delicious. Alas, they are not for Hylians. The Farron wetlands are a lush labyrinth of vegetation. As you wander the jungle, you might come across a Deku scrub. Rumor has it these peculiar creatures have a voracious sweet tooth.
I like the spiderweb.
During your travels, you're likely to encounter people dealing with problems great.
And this was interesting because you have the, especially even like in the font and the graphic presentation, you've got a bunch of side quests
and small
as part of it.
Keep track of quests by browsing
So
your.
this looks exactly like, well, not exact, but very close to Tears of the Kingdom's side quest menu.
Adventure log whenever you'd like.
Definitely reminds me of it.
Helping people with their troubles is a big part of your journey, and wise heroes are often rewarded for their good deeds.
You can get a lot of like stuff. You're gonna have
Objects
fast
known as
travel.
waypoints are scattered throughout the land. Once you've discovered one, you can return to it quickly by selecting it on your map.
Which I know they've had with like the flute in. So the flute kind of showed up in like Link to the Past showed up fairly late in the game.
Even with the benefit of fast travel, getting around Hyrule can prove challenging. At times like
no fall damage.
these, why walk when you can
Get
ride?
a horse.
Gallop right over weaker enemies to send them flying, and hop over small obstacles with ease.
Traveling easy.
Once you learn to make a carrot echo, you'll be able to call upon your trusty steed from anywhere in the overworld.
Makes me wonder if there's a lot of backtracking they want to try and make as easy as possible.
As you explore, you may come across smoothie shops manned by business scrubs. Here you can blend the ingredients you've collected
So they almost
into
have like a little cooking mechanic similar to
delicious drinks. Smoothies have different effects based on the ingredients you choose. They're sure to come in handy during your travels. You can
Sora flippers.
Also equip outfits and accessories to enhance your abilities.
Outfit.
And to look fashionable,
All right.
obviously.
So you can actually change outfits, again, similar to the 3D games. Which is cool. Cool outfits. Good to see.
Whether you're trekking over rugged plateaus, through winding caves, or other complex locales, creating echoes is key to success. But sometimes they may not be enough. A huge boulder like this cannot be learned as an echo, and your other echoes won't move it either. For obstacles like these, Tri has got you covered with the power of Bind.
So this totally reminds me of Ultra Hand.
Use it to make even a massive boulder follow Zelda's movement. Bind can help you unearth buried treasure.
Yeah, very or
similar even reposition.
They've really made this
troublesome enemies. You can also use Bind on your echoes. So get creative and find ways to forge ahead.
Run at people with my spike fall.
Alternatively, if you want to follow a moving object yourself, you can use Reverse Bond to go where it goes. Take advantage of a creature's ability to fly.
So many different moves.
Or to move around quickly.
It does seem pretty cool.
Swapping between Bind and Reverse Bond is a great way to find clever paths forward. Let your imagination run wild, and you're bound to come up with all sorts of ideas.
This is really crazy. I'm hoping they're going to have a really kind of cool and unique puzzles with this, because they give you so many ways to traverse. And I do like the idea of like, hey, there's like 10 different solutions you can do to move around this area, or, get around this obstacle, reach the objective. I do like it when they give you more than one option, and they're like all of them, as long as they feel satisfying. That's a
Use Bind in combination with your echoes to overcome obstacles. Understanding how these two abilities work together will be essential to your progress.
I like that, because I mean, like, there's only, if you're just like fighting the same enemy like 50 times, just hitting them with a sword can kind of become boring in a way. So having a different way to think of destroying them, very nice.
Mysterious rifts are overtaking Hyrule. What else will Zelda have to contend with in her grand adventure to save her kingdom? There's only one way to find out.
Go into the rift.
The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom.
This game looks really awesome. I just wanted to show that trailer off. I thought it was really cool. Of course, we have Monster Hunter Wilds. Again, Capcom loves DLC. They love expansion passes, deluxe editions. They love to milk you for all the money they can get. But, they still make really good games, and people are super hyped for Monster Hunter Wilds, because Capcom consistently makes good games still. That's really what matters. My main right here, the Switch Axe, baby. Showing it off. Discharge back. Of course, you have to have the elemental discharge. Bam, coming to 2025. Definitely going to pick that up too, because hey, Monster Hunter World was good. Monster Hunter Sunbreak, or I think it was called Rise. Sunbreak was the expansion. That was good. The expansion, Sunbreak, was good too. You consistently make good games. People get excited for it. Ubisoft, and with X Defiant, Ubisoft just hasn't done that. It's, consistently put out mediocre games and kind of bizarre DLC, and they have got their own little subscription service. And this is, I don't know if I should, I'm going over time, but as an aside, let's look at Outlaws. Star Wars. Oh, so it's got something I was thinking about earlier. Let's see. Where can I get my Outlaws fun packs? Or so let's take a look at this. You've got Discover Editions. Let's look at. We can discover the editions. We got the Standard Edition, $70. Gold Edition, $109. Ultimate Edition, $130. Or you can just have it for $18 for day one with Ubisoft Plus. And this is the thing that kills me too, is you're asking $70 for this game right here. Is it not worth $70? I could guarantee you in a year it's probably going to be half off. And then you got, 3 days early access. You get 110, 130. Or you can get all of this, $130 for $18 a month. Per month. Day one, Ubisoft, you could just play it for a month. What is this game worth? Is it worth $130? Are you confident that all this stuff you're asking people to pay $130 of their hard-earned money for is worth $30, or is it worth $18? Is owning it so good that you're going to play it over and over again that, is there enough enjoyment to, get $130 worth of, $18 a month? Or is it that they just hope that if you sign up for Ubisoft Plus, that you're going to forget to cancel the subscription, or you're going to find this library of Ubisoft Plus so worthwhile that you're not going to cancel your subscription? And in, 10 months, they'll have gotten $180 out of you instead of this $130 for Star Wars Outlaws. So it's not even like the games are worth money. They're asking for a ton of money, but they never seem to believe that it's worth that much money. Or at least they seem to be indicating that it's not, because they're willing to give it away for $18 if you sign up, for their Ubisoft Plus. I don't know if you can cancel at any time. Can I cancel my subscription at any point, or do I have to sign up for a year? Cancel and come back anytime. Oh, so I could just play this for $18 and you'll be like, well, whatever. I don't like it that much. Or I could pay $130 for it. So it's this weird, there's this weird idea, like, is these games even worth that much money? And the company itself doesn't seem to believe that, because, again, they're willing to give it away for just a mere $18. But guys, that's it for the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you all for joining me and watching. Hope you enjoyed it too. And we'll be, I don't know if we'll be on post zero, we'll see, but I'll be redirecting to it. Redirect. Let's see. Or post zero, I should say. Let's see. Where do I find? Here we go. There we go. On Kyle's channel, The Prodigal Son. Hey guys, remember, be sure to like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.